Welcome to the Fear Files. Sometimes, the most ordinary moments hide the darkest secrets. A simple dinner party, laughter, friends, a night to remember. But what if that night takes a turn no one could have predicted? What if someone vanishes without a trace, leaving behind nothing but unanswered questions and an unsettling fear that never fades? This is the story of a gathering that should have been just another evening, but instead, it became a chilling mystery. A man walked into my home that night, an enigma, quiet and reserved. By the end of the evening, he was gone, and what followed left a shadow over my life that I may never escape. Turn down the lights, listen closely, and step into the unknown. Don't forget to subscribe. My name is Henry, and I reside in a small, peaceful town where everyone knows each other. I love hosting dinner gatherings at my home, bringing my friends together over delicious meals and lively conversations. One warm summer evening, I decided to host another dinner party, inviting my closest friends. Little did I know that night would unravel into a mystery that continues to haunt me. I spent the entire day preparing for the evening. The table was set with my finest dishes, and the air was filled with the aroma of roasted chicken and freshly baked bread. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden glow through the windows, my friends began arriving. Emily, David, Rachel, and Andrew were there, along with a new acquaintance, James, who had recently moved to town. James was somewhat of an enigma, reserved and quiet, but I thought it would be a nice gesture to include him. He seemed appreciative of the invitation, and I hoped the evening would make him feel welcome. As we gathered around the table, laughter and stories filled the room while we enjoyed our meal. The dinner went smoothly, with everyone enjoying the food and one another's company. After dessert, we moved to the living room to continue our conversations. James remained unusually quiet, but I didn't dwell on it at the time. Perhaps he was just shy or still adjusting to our group. However, as the evening went on, his demeanor began to shift. He grew tense, withdrawn, and avoided making eye contact. I noticed the change, but chose not to bring it up in front of everyone to avoid making him uncomfortable. Then, without warning, James stood up abruptly, muttering something about needing to leave. Before anyone could react, he was already out the door, slamming it behind him. The room fell into silence as we exchanged bewildered glances, unsure of what had just happened. After a few moments, we tried to move on, but the atmosphere had undeniably changed. The night eventually came to an end, and my friends said their goodbyes, still perplexed by James's sudden departure. The next day, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. I decided to check on James, hoping to find out what had upset him. I went to his house and knocked on the door, but there was no response. His car sat in the driveway, yet there were no signs of movement inside. I left, assuming he simply needed time to himself. Days passed with no word from James. Concerned, I reached out to my friends, but none of them had seen or heard from him either. My unease grew, and eventually, I contacted the police to report him missing. They took my statement and assured me they would look into the situation. Weeks turned into months, yet there was still no trace of James. The authorities searched his house, questioned neighbors, and followed every possible lead, but it was as though he had vanished without a trace. My friends and I were left with nothing but questions. One evening, I found myself replaying the events of that night over and over in my head. What had caused James to leave so suddenly? Had I missed some sign that something was wrong? I couldn't help but feel a lingering sense of guilt, wondering if I could have done something differently. Determined to find answers, I started looking into James's past. I discovered that he had moved to our town following a painful breakup, hoping for a fresh start. He had very few friends, and his family lived far away. The more I uncovered, the more I realized how little I had truly known about him. Then, one night, as I sat alone in my house, I heard a faint rustling outside. It was subtle, like someone moving through the bushes. My heartbeat quickened as I peered out the window, but the darkness concealed everything. The sound ceased, and I tried convincing myself it was just an animal. Yet, the noises persisted in the following nights. Soft footsteps, hushed whispers, and an unsettling sensation of being watched. Sleep became elusive, and a constant sense of unease took hold of me. During one of my searches, I stumbled upon an old journal hidden in James's house, something the police had seemingly overlooked. Its pages were filled with his private thoughts, exposing a troubled and anxious mind. He wrote about feeling out of place, not just in our town, but in life itself. As I turned the pages, his writings grew darker, laced with paranoia and fear. The last entry was dated the night of my dinner party. It read, "I can't escape it. It's always watching, always waiting. I need to leave before it's too late." A chill ran through me as I read those words. What exactly had James been so terrified of? I brought the journal to the police, but it didn't yield any definitive answers. They continued their investigation, but the case had grown cold. While my friends gradually moved on, I remained consumed by the mystery, unable to let it rest. I often found myself gazing into the darkness outside my window, straining to hear those faint noises, wondering if James was still out there, lost, afraid, and alone. My friends reassured me that I had done everything I could, but the mystery remained unsolved. James had disappeared, and we might never know why. The dinner party, which had once seemed like an ordinary gathering, had left an unshakable shadow over my life. It served as a stark reminder that even the most mundane moments can spiral into the most unsettling mysteries. On quiet nights, when I'm alone with my thoughts, I still think about James and that fateful evening. The unanswered questions linger, a ghost of the past that refuses to fade. And so, I continue searching for closure, hoping that one day the mystery will unravel and James's story will finally have an ending.
For more videos, please subscribe.